Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is me, Viktor Dmitrievich Khuliganov. I didn't do a rant for October, so I will probably have to do that one later. Since it's already not October, it doesn't really matter. I will do the October rant probably a little bit later on, and you can catch up with it on podcasting. But when I set up podcasting site, I haven't done it yet, but later it will be. And once I get a few of these, because these rants are meant to be used on podcast site, which will be given later on what the podcast site will be, but it probably will be on Podbean somewhere. Anyway, at the moment they are here on YouTube. And they will be on YouTube, of course. I don't usually put things on in order to take them off later. Obviously, I have taken off one or two things if I change my mind about them, but really it is less than 1% of materials that I put up I change afterward. So, basically, this ranting is the November rant. I wanted to talk a little bit about what November means to me, what November means to me and also to many other people. What I wanted to talk about for October was really the Polish elections, but it is already moot since the elections went by and already Polish people made their voice, made their decision, particularly bad one in my opinion. I was in favor of the continuation of Jarosław Kaczynski, but unfortunately he got just by very narrow margin usurped by Mr. Tusk and his very ingenuous advertising campaign criticizing the Kaczynski government for being too brutal, when in fact the brutality of the Kaczynski government is precisely what contributed to the battle of corruption in Poland. It is only less than 1 month now since those elections have been made and the Kaczynski government is no more, and already is noticeable how people before have returned to the old habits of corrupt ways. I already saw one or two examples of the old ways coming back again, so I'm very sorry to see the government pass back into weak hands of Mr. Tusk. He should really take a few leaves out of the book of the government which went before. I'm not looking forward to watching them hand back to European Union all of the benefits which were gained by the previous administrations, the stronger voting rights, the better subsidies which are coming from European Union. All of these things Mr. Tusk and his junta will probably hand back, being very weak politicians, weak people, just in order to get some popularity with the rest of Europe, completely without any sense. We are about to enter Schengen space here in Poland as from the beginning of next year. Probably it will mean that we have to behave in a much worse way, allowing into Poland people from Eastern Bloc who used to have relatively easy time to join Poland, and Poland benefited greatly from prisons. Of course there were a few criminal types, but you can't get away from that. And now what will happen is that a lot of the benefit which Poland take from the Eastern Bloc won't be here. At the same time the Polish workforce draining away to places like Great Britain, Ireland, Sweden, probably even more so in a few years, probably from next year or year after, even France and Germany are opening borders and more people will leave. And we are not replenishing these people from places like Ukraine, Belarus, Serbia, because now that we are getting to be in Schengen space, the requirements for visa to Poland will be a lot higher. Anyway, that was all what I was going to talk about in October, and I will come back to these points again and do the full October rant separately later on, even because it's already not October. So, basically, for November, I wanted to talk about what November means. And November is basically, it is, okay, the 11th month of the year. November comes from the term ninth month, because prior to Julius Augustus Caesar providing us with 2 extra months in order to have 12 months, because he found it easier to divide the year into 12 than into 10, because there had been 10 months in the Latin calendar, but because people got 10 fingers, right? Yeah, most people got 10. You can check if you don't believe me. But he wanted to turn to 12 because once he opened a pack of cheese slices, processed cheese slices, and he sees how nice that look with the 12 cheese slices. He actually have 6, but he thinks to himself, if I divide each of these 6 cheese slices into halves, then I get a nice 12, and it make a nice pattern, because I can easily divide. And then from this he divides the clock, and he thinks to himself, well, look, from the clock I can get 1 stage further, and I can really now make it so that I can divide the year into 12s as well. And so basically this is what he did, and that's why his name, Julius Augustus Caesar, and the first 2 names was given 2 months, July and August. These months didn't exist before, and so obviously we didn't get such hot summers in the period before Julius Caesar. We have him to thank for that. And also, if you have a difficult birth and you have to get cut open and your baby taken out by hand and sewn back up again, you can also thank him for this one, because he also invented the Caesarean section, and his surname Caesar got given and his surname stupid and his surname got given to this procedure. So so you can thank him for this also, if you are if you were born that way, or if you gave birth that way. You can give thanks to Julius Augustus Caesar for this procedure. Anyway, back to November. It is now the 11th month, like I'm saying, but funnily enough, it still remains the month of one important thing. In England, they have a saying, remember, remember, the 5th of November, gunpowder, treason and plot. I see no reason why gunpowder, treason should ever be forgot. In point of fact, the full version of past participle of to forget is forgotten, but it wouldn't rhyme so well in this case. So, this is getting towards what my ranting is actually about. November has been a month for various types of remembrance. First, we kick off the month with All Souls Day. In the Roman Catholic tradition, this is the day in which you remember all the dead people, and of course Catholics, they pray for the dead. As Protestants, we don't do this. We believe that there's nothing to pray for the dead, their situation is beyond our help. But Catholics have a slightly different view of the dead and the relationship between the dead and the living world than we have. It is in many ways influenced by, in my opinion, by some pagan traditions connecting the living world and the dead world. It is more that way than the Bible, but of course there are also some verses in the Bible which are not easy to understand, and Catholics of course latch onto these and interpret them in a different way to us. I don't believe the Catholic way of interpreting certain of these verses, but you know, at the end of the day you have to come to these things with a certain degree of humility, because nobody really knows. We who are alive and participating on YouTube don't actually know what it is to be dead. None of us have been dead and came back again. Some people believe they have had some kind of near-death experiences, but usually, you could have a near cliche experience, yes, because everybody coming back with full of the cliches of seeing the tunnels and the lights and all of this. It's just what they hear from other people's accounts, and they come back and give the same cliche of what they saw, whether they really saw it or whether it was suggestion, auto-suggestion or whatever. Nobody really knows. You will know when you're dead, or if the atheists are correct, which I don't think they are, and of course you wouldn't know anyway. And now we're getting very close to Pascal's wager, which usually make the atheists sort of bounce up and down and say how stupid it is, and I don't really want to have that argument right now. In fact, it is not stupid. Blaise Pascal was a very intelligent man, but since atheists have got it in their DNA to kind of dismiss Pascal's wager as a piece of stupidity, I can't do much for them in this matter. But in any matter, I wanted to say, starting with the 1st of November, the All Saints' Day by the Catholics, and even also an ancient pagan festival of remembering dead at this time of year. And going through to the 5th of November is also remembrance of what happened in Guy Fawkes' day. Guy Fawkes was also a Roman Catholic guy, and he wanted this Roman Catholic guy to get Britain back to Roman Catholicism. In those days it was still, in many ways, of course, the church is still far too much involved in politics for my liking, but in those days it was more political than it is today. And so the Vatican was really a political power first and foremost, and secondly a spiritual power. And so therefore what they were trying to do was to bring back your United Kingdom's government, the Parliament, under sway of Roman Catholic Church. And of course they behaved in this matter a little bit like the Muslims of today by blowing it up. Okay, before Protestantism really gently and quietly affected the thinking of Roman Catholics, you could say that in the Middle Ages they got very similar to the way Muslim people are today. They probably were just as bad in some ways in the time of the Inquisitions and other things like that. But they weren't originally that way, of course, and in some ways it was contact with the brutality of the Islamic world in crusading period which really affected them in that direction. Because prior to the Crusades, when we had to go and reclaim from Muslims the Holy Lands, we didn't actually do these things that much in the Church of Christ. It was a failure when we did it. But that failure continued in some portions of the church longer than in others. Of course, thankfully now we don't have any portions of the Christian church which are countenancing these types of behaviors now. So things are much better now than they were at that time. But basically what was going on was that Roman Catholic Guy Fawkes was trying to reclaim Britain for Roman Church by blowing up Parliament. And it was basically an act of Islamic terrorism. So he wasn't Islamic, but it was a style of Islamic terrorism that they have today. And so we remember the victims of terrorism and the victory and the war against terror in Great Britain already on the 5th of November, burning effigies of Guy Fawkes and on the bonfires. And also in some villages they even burning other effigies. In southern England they even had a tradition of burning effigies of the Pope, although this probably is not really very popular these days because some of the popes recently have been nice guys, kind of big uncle types, like John Paul II and this guy Ratzinger. You wouldn't want to burn nice guy on the bonfire, yeah? But in the past, of course, people like the Borgias, you probably would say, yes, okay, these people, you couldn't really weep any tears for them after all the number of us that they put on the bonfires in those days. You couldn't really weep many tears if they went on the bonfire, yeah? But of course, this is not the case today, and probably it's not a good idea to put on papal effigies onto the bonfire. And I probably would, although I'm a Protestant myself, I would like to ask other Protestants not to do this, because it's not a good idea. And basically, so we go on from the 5th of November on to 11th of November. This time we also are remembering is Armistice Day, is the day of the end of the First World War. And we remember those who died. I already, because it is now 13th of November and I don't wear the poppy anymore, but I was wearing for first 11 days of this month. And you probably saw on earlier videos you saw the poppy. British people and Canadians, they wearing the poppy to remember the dead who died in all the wars, including, of course, now war on terrorism, so that we could be free. The war on terrorism, in point of fact, is not making us particularly free at the moment. It is actually causing a lot of curtailment of our liberties, because the liberal people don't want to place the blame firmly at the door of the people involved. Yeah? It is the people who are from a certain tradition who are doing the acts, but everybody pays a price by waiting longer in the airports. However, I noticed the other day that if you pay money, you can get through the chickens a lot quicker. So I really wonder what it's really about. Is it really about security, or whether it's about making a little bit more money from the people who got a bit more? I think it is a very mixed motive in some cases by the airlines. I noticed that after the train bombings that there have been in Madrid, the trains don't have the similar go through metal detector before you can go on train. It doesn't make any sense, does it really? That the one kind of transport is doing it, the other kind of transport gets bombed and just says, okay, we just have to take this thing as a part of the course. But the airlines cannot. They must react and overreact. So perhaps the airlines need to take, and we all need to take a bit more of a leaf from the train's book. I certainly would rather have it that way than the train take from the airline's book. At the end of the day, the terrorists are winning the war on terror, because thanks to them we all have to wait whenever we're flying extra time, go through extra stupid procedures, so that there's nobody who can go on the plane with bombs. Yeah? And for example, recently I was told you can't take half a bottle of water, pure water, I wasn't drinking vodka, honestly, past the gate. I went past the gate and they pull out from the pocket of my jacket what I put onto this little box which goes through the detector, the X-ray thing. On it I put, or inside the pocket was a half full bottle, only half liter, so 250 milliliters of sparkling water. And this is a security risk. So they say, look, you cannot do this. You can't take this with you on the plane. So okay, I will drink it now. I say, oh, no, you cannot drink it. You already passed the gate. Just put it in the bin. Don't even drink it. And I said, do they imagine it's heavy water or something? They cannot even drink the water. It's a security risk. 250 milliliters of water which I offered to drink in front of them. Maybe they thought it was vodka and didn't want me drunk on the plane. I don't know. But it seemed to me stupid. Very stupid. Especially as you can buy exactly the same bottle of water from a vending machine on other side of gate, of course for more money than you pay in the shop. It's all about money. They're taking you for a ride. For example, they always tell you the same lies. Switch off your mobile phone for whole of flight because it interferes with our systems. We're already in the situation where we haven't had mobile phones for more than 20 years. Are they seriously trying to tell us that they haven't got the systems right yet? Of course not. If you pay big money, you can use mobile phone on some flights. They have a service where you can make mobile calls through whole flight. If you're willing to pay money in order to get this service. So it's not about security, it's all about money. That's what it's about. They're telling you lies in order to go milky. and all the money you got milked out of you like from the cow's udder. So basically this is what it's all about. It's all about money with these people. Back to November. We're getting on now to later on in the year, in the month of November, and Americans are having their Thanksgivings. Now, I'm not an American and I don't really know much about Thanksgiving, but it seemed to me that if you want to give a thanks for something, you have to remember it. So again, it's a kind of a remembering thing. And so, by the way, this is coming out onto YouTube around the time of American Thanksgiving. I know Canadians had already, but Canadians is only like 10% of North America, so we don't need to worry too much about that. Happy Canadian Thanksgiving in retrospect, and happy Thanksgiving to American viewers for your holiday. Happy holiday, like I say, it's about remembering. So again, we have this common thing. November is the month to remember. So, remembering. What is remembering? What is memory? Remembering means actively recalling memory. So you have to first of all think, what is memory? You cannot give thanks for something if you don't have a memory of it. If you've forgotten it, then any thanking that you do is empty. You are considering your memory of some blessing or something, yes, whether it's because somebody dies so that you can be free, or that somebody dies so that you can be in California, or whatever. You are remembering. Memory is extremely important. Humans have memories which pass through more than one generation, because they are written down, recorded, filmed, put into media. And media is important as a way of recording memories beyond the individual who have the memory. This is one of the big differences between human beings and the animals, who cannot remember anything which didn't happen to them. We remember things which didn't happen to us. One person who took part on forum, which I was moderator of, and still am, although the forum these days is not very well frequented, because basically people have moved on to more interactive Web 2.0 kind of things, and they're doing more interesting things on the internet, and I don't blame people for neglecting the older bulletin boards and forums. They probably did their time. But basically, this guy was saying, why are you concerned? Why are you still worried about Second World War? You were not there. Why are you worried about First World War? You were not there. But this is making a person to be on the level of an animal, because an animal remembers only what happened to him. They say an elephant never forgets. And here on YouTube, if you look carefully, you can find even a quite shocking film of an elephant who is obviously harboring a grievance against his owner, even though there is some kind of subtitles which say it wasn't the owner that did it, but the owner, obviously, the elephant feels the owner put him in a situation where this bad thing happened to him, and later on when the owner come along, he pick him up in the big trunk, he lift him high into the air, and he smash him on the ground. Then he pick him up again, and he smash him on the ground 2 or 3 times. And of course the man is dead, yes, because you cannot survive this treatment by an elephant. Doesn't matter if he's an African or an Indian elephant. I'm not racist in this matter, or in any other matter, hopefully. If an elephant pick you up and smack you down on the ground, you are dead man or woman. I'm not sexist either. So, basically, you have to watch out with the animals. If you mistreat them, they will remember it and give it back. There's also one interesting YouTube film, if you look for it, about a cat who don't let one girl of the family to sit in front of the television with the other family member and push her out of the room, attack her until she leaves the room. Probably because that particular girl wasn't nice to that cat when the cat was smaller. Now cat is big, maybe 6 kilograms. Not big, of course, you could deal with the cat, but this cat is already big enough at 6 kilograms to make you very uncomfortable if it want to. Yeah? Not talking already about the Ashera cat, which is getting to 14 kilograms. If you the owner, very lucky, you mean you spend a lot of money, $22,000 they are now for an Ashera cat. If you may be lucky, but if a member of your family upset this cat, it's going to grow to 14 kilograms of pure and unadulterated muscle. Okay? And at the end of those muscles, 20 extremely sharp claws, and at one end of it, many extremely sharp teeth. And not only extremely sharp, but in the case of the Ashera cat, extremely strong teeth. It looked like a little panzer when it opened that mouth of it, because it's connecting not only the Asian leopard cat, but also it contains the African serval, whereas the other hybrid cats, Asian leopard cat and normal cat, goes into Bengal cat, and serval and normal cat goes into Savannah cat. The Ashera cat, by patented methodologies of lifestyle pets, contains genetic lines both from the serval and also from the Asian leopard cat, as well as from the domesticated cat. And therefore it is quite an original animal. It is really on the cusp of wildness that you would want to invite into your home. But it has such an elegant appearance that people are simply dying. They are queuing up and taking part in auctions to be in waiting list for a kitten. And when they on the waiting list and they pay for the kitten $22,000 at the moment dollars. So basically the animal, it has the memory, but only what happened to it. It does not transfer memories from one individual to the other. It does not transfer memory from one generation to the other. What is setting us apart from animals, among other things, like for example being created in the image of God, and amongst those things which set us apart, those characteristics which distinguish us from the beasts, is that we are capable of remembering. In the beginning, when Adam was made, he didn't have memories of anything before himself, any human memories, because he was the first man who existed and Eve the first woman. He didn't learn his Adamic language from any other person, like we remember, like we get the words from our parents. And any word that you think about, I don't know if you go through the words for different types of fruits and vegetables in your mind. Maybe you can think to yourself in your head, yes, the word for aubergine, yes, my mother taught me that, and I remember having difficulty because I pronounce it differently when she said, or artichoke, or who told me the name for kohlrabi. You can sometimes think back, how did I discover this word for these strange fruits and vegetables? Who taught me them? How did I find them? Maybe some of the really exotic ones you only found off the internet, whereas things like banana, apple, orange, probably you may know them for so long you can't even remember who taught you. Probably your parents taught you, but maybe you can remember who taught you. And maybe if you look back at the associations of the even most common words, they come connected with a whole bunch of memories, and human language is the vehicle for memory. Language and memory, in the kind of thing that I talk about, human memory, communicable to other individuals, are intrinsically linked. So memory is a linguistic matter, and languages are a memory-related matter. That's, of course, the whole idea behind the gold list system, which I'm talking about on some other videos. It's the link between language and memory. It's very important, and it's one of the things which define us as human beings. And people who don't want to remember, okay, we set apart this month of November for particular memory, but we should be remembering the whole time various things. What we're doing in November is simply marshalling and collectively looking at similar memories. But it's to train us and to remind us that we need these memories and we need to treat them as precious things all the way through the year. That is not that we should live in the past. A motor car have one big screen in the front and little rear view mirrors to look behind. Obviously you need to spend more attention looking ahead of yourself, what is coming in the future, than you do looking behind. But consider a driver who would only be looking in front and never look in the mirror. He's going to have a nasty accident. He's going to cause chaos on the roads. And so we need these memories. We need to have them put into language. And we need to consider language as a vehicle of memory. We need to learn from the memories. And we need to... I got a SMS message. Probably somebody using language to remind me of something. So, basically, we need to consider these memories as a precious thing, to cultivate them, and to even to consider the nature and the essence of what it is to be a being which remembers things, which is capable of remembering things not only which happen to you in your life, but also remembering things which have happened to your own predecessors on this planet and to other people unrelated to yourself. That is what I wanted to talk about for this month. Just the things to think about and to remember. Thank you very much for your attention, and goodbye.